Hello and welcome to the Celtic Down Under podcast. I'm your host Jared. Joining me tonight are Sean, John, and Liam. How you going, Liam?
Good, thanks, mate. Good, thanks. Had a nice big Frankfurter hot dog for my dinner the other night, and that was nice, I can tell you.
Brilliant. Yeah, would have gone down a treat, mate. How are you, John?
I'm doing very well. I'm doing good.
Now, I've got something here for you, John. You asked me to play at the start of the podcast, so
I'm glad you reminded. Yeah, I'm glad you remembered. Go for it.
You've got to say it's a fantastic signing, not only for Rangers Football Club, but for Scottish football as a whole. I don't think maybe tomorrow, once it starts to sink in for a lot of people, when you really think about it, probably the arrival of Paul Gascoigne or something, it was a big time when you thought, whoa, as a proper football player arrived in Scottish football. And that's exactly what Aaron Ramsey is. Fantastic coup for the football club. But again, it just shows you the allure and the size of Rangers.
The size of Rangers.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The consigliere of crap himself, Chris Boyd.
How are you, Sean?
Yeah, I'm good, yeah. I did not lose a minute of sleep over them in the Europa League final. But I did wake up to quite some nice messages from my family letting me know what had happened.
It was brilliant. It was majestic. It was right up there with great moments. I love the meme kicking around. Oh, when a bunch of Celtic fans, when did you ever get over Seville? Not until you guys lost there. That was brilliant. So
it's quite true as well.
Yeah. So tonight's episode is our season review podcast. So there's not much really going on in terms of the news at the moment. There's a lot of rumors, transfer rumors and speculation going around, but we'll leave that to the side. We're going to go through, we've got about 18, 19 topics, I think, overall to talk through. So we're going to do this as a two-parter podcast. So keep an eye out for episode part 2 of this one, which we'll put out within the week after this episode coming out. So what we're going to do, we'll get straight into it. So, question 1. Who is your player of the season and why? So, I'll throw to you first, Sean.
Yep, pretty easy one for me. I agreed with the majority here, and I said Captain Callum McGregor. Some reasons obvious, some less so. He's obviously been the most consistent player. He's just a really classy and slick player that we're really lucky to have in our team, to be honest. Quite fortunate to get someone like that coming through the system, and even to have survived the kind of period of maybe 2 years where he was getting just dogs abuse from Celtic fans for like every missed pass or untracked run or whatever. And now he's just like the absolute heartbeat and driving force of not just the team on the pitch, but the club. He's a leader on and off the pitch. Games where he's just picked it up by the scruff of the neck and just drove us on. Like when we're 1-0 down at Ibrox, and he just goes, I'll just push us forward here. When we go 1-0 down to Hibs and he sets up Kyogo for the goal. There's just so many examples of him doing that with the ball, and then also the stories you hear of him getting on to players as soon as they arrive, welcoming them to the club, making sure everyone's doing the right thing and that all the players are doing the right thing and that they understand what it means to be a Celtic player. So I know you're saying player of the season, but it's player/person of the season for me.
Liam?
I mean, it's hard to argue with that, but I am going to make a different case here. I'm going to say Joe Hart. Just his impact at the club. Last season, goalkeeper was the position where I think we were especially lacking throughout the entire... I mean, we were all over the place last season, but we never got a stable goalkeeper, I felt, at any point. And to have Joe Hart come in and from day one just stabilise everything, commanding presence, and in terms of his career, it's the best comeback narrative since Rocky 3. It's absolutely superb. I love it when a guy who's not a Celtic fan comes to the club and ends up just embodying everything that's good about Celtic and really buying into it. And Joe Hart has totally done that. And I love the big guy. Absolutely do.
John?
Well, we've all gone a bit different. I obviously thought McGregor, just for obvious reasons. But I struggled to pick one particular favourite this year because I think, especially in the second half of the season, we played so well, and there were so many we could have said that was my favourite player of the season. But I went with someone a bit different. I went with Cameron Carter-Vickers. I just think he's been consistently excellent. Well, at least you're gonna get at least a decent to excellent performance out of him. He's never really given that many massive scares. He gets what he gets the job done. He sticks to exactly what he's been told to do. And it's been a while since we've had a centre back like that. And yeah, he has turned up and scored some big goals for us this season as well. I think most notably the one that I wrote down in my notes was the one that he scored against Rangers after Aaron Bottom Merchant Ramsey, his early goal. So yeah, that's his. I think for me, Carter Vickers. Yeah, Carter Vickers is my player of the year.
It's funny you guys have all gone for those three options because that's my top three. But I've been bouncing around. So that means I get the deciding vote on the Celtic Down Under Podcast Player of the Year award by the looks of it. So those three would be the first three names put on the team sheet every week without fail. Carter Vickers is up there, but he came in a bit late and wasn't here for the whole start of the Ange Revolution. I see your point about Joe Hart there, Liam, but for me, it's Callum McGregor. There's just, as Sean said, there's games there where he just refused to let us lose. It's like, that's not how we do it, boys. I'll show you. Follow me. Get on with it. And that was one of the doubts I had about him as a captain coming into the season. I didn't doubt that his ability to be our captain. It was more, we've gone from the really loud vocal leader of Bruni to Callum. How's he going to step up into that role? And not only did he step up, but he stepped up and made the team his in his own way. And yeah, player of the year for me, definitely. So we go on to question 2, which is, who is your signing of the season and why? So we'll go around the room again. To you first, Sean.
Call back to Liam's previous player of the year. I thought Joe Hart was the signing of the season. There's quite a few candidates you could have here. And I actually discounted the loan signings just on the basis that, just because any loan signing is a loan signing, I thought that I'm not going to count that towards the question. So I'd say Joe Hart, because when you think back to last year and even, I guess, technically the start of this season, when we had Cabbage Hands in goals, or the musical chairs of last season with Hazard and Bain and Cabbage Hands all taking turns. Joe Hart has been really transformative, and the points that Liam already made that, not only has he been a great goalkeeper stopping shots, he's just been great in other ways as well. He's shown so much leadership qualities and such a level head, and he really gets it. As you say, he's really fit in really well with the club. He's been a great signing in so many ways.
Over to you, Liam.
All right. I would, in terms of looking for players to make an impact at an important time, I'm going to give it to Daisen Maeda, because I think come New Year, we really needed an impact, someone who was going to come in, go in and make things happen, and he gave us a different option going forward when we needed it. And it really bolstered the entire attack and gave us that wee surge that we needed to get over the finish line. And I think it pushed on Giakoumakis to be a better player when he was in the team as well. And then also, I'm a bit biased because I've been pushing for the guy to sign for Celtic for the last 2 years. So to see him come in and do the business was very, very satisfying. So that's my signing of the season.
Doesn't surprise me you said that, considering, as you've said, how much you've been wanting him signed since the Yamaga days. So, does not surprise me. Over to Johnny, who's smashing a mug of tea at the moment.
Yeah. It's honestly been a long day. So
Surely you knew you were next, John. Come on.
I was gonna make a
Professionalism here.
joke, John, but you know.
well, honestly, none of us have really talked about who our options were before we did this, but we've all gone different again. So I actually said that Giakoumakis was my favourite signing, and I could have easily gone Maeda, or Kyogo or Jota. I think if it wasn't for some of the injuries that Kyogo and Jota had, I might have been inclined to pick one of them. But I went with Giakoumakis purely because he proved me so wrong. I was very, very skeptical of the signing at the beginning of the season. I just didn't think. Look, not that he didn't have a really good season before he came to Celtic, but seasons before that he might not have done. I think he had a couple of goals, less than 10, and then he hit like a 35 goal season or something similar to that, and then he came to Celtic. So I thought, look, this guy is just at the beginning of his ascension, so maybe it's a bit early to say that he's going to be decent. So I was skeptical. He turned up and he completely mugged me. He completely pied me in the face, and he's been absolutely insane since he turned up. So I have to put my hands up there. I was completely wrong. He's going to be class, and hopefully he just sticks to the trend. So yeah, that's my favourite signing because it made me look like a fool.
You know what I love here, John? You've actually just outed it and said we didn't discuss any of our selections here, which is perfect for this because this is what I want it to be, fresh and just straight up. And I've got someone different again. It's a signing of the season, and for me, I've gone for when he was fit and playing, Josip Juranovic. We've been crying out for a quality right back. We had none at the start of the year. Ralston gets a 1-year extension, and we're all like, "Oh, are we that desperate?" To then be able to land a player of his quality, who's not only played at right back, but he's also played the left back. He's played as a right winger at one point as well during the season. The job he did when he was fit and healthy coming in, and his standards meant Ralston had to step up to that. So now we've got 2 quality right backs. As we've said on previous pods, I want us to get that European quality left back for next season in the same mold that we've signed Juranovic this season, and we're off to the races in Europe in the Champions League. But yeah, for me, Juranovic is probably a little left field one there, but it really plugged a massive hole for us, especially not just at right back, but when Greg Taylor was out hurt and he played a bunch of the season at left back, out of position as well. He did the job for us. So for me, that's a quality signing there. Question 3.
He's been a good one. Yeah.
Who was our most improved player this season and why? Over to you, Sean.
Most improved player this season was Anthony Ralston, and I decided to take a different tact on the question and say the reason he's most improved is because he had a Wayne. So
responsibilities grown up. Yep.
Cool. Yeah. We actually had this conversation earlier in the season, and it came back to me when I was looking at the question, because we were all like, "How is this guy just become an amazing player all of a sudden?" And there was an interview at the time saying that like fatherhood had matured him or something along those lines. But yeah, that was my answer. Anthony Ralston, most improved. Reason why? Because he had a Wayne.
Liam.
I'm also going to go with Tony Ralston. I just I never thought, and a close second would be Nir Bitton, and I never thought for a minute that during a game against Rangers I would look at my dad and I would say, "All right, we need to bring on Ralston and Bitton now." But if an hour gone with us narrowly leading the game, that was exactly my thought. We need to bring them on and just tighten things up here. And the 2 of them did come on and played splendidly. And Ralston has just not put a foot wrong when he's played this season. He's been absolutely superb. Not always started, but always came in and done exactly what was expected of him and more when he's been asked to. Yeah, absolutely superb player. For a guy who a lot of us probably didn't even expect to get a new contract at the end of last season, he's a guy who we now think, well, if anybody wants him, they're going to have to pay plenty.
Yep. And he's Ralston's been called up to the Scotland squad as well for the
Saw that.
Scott Turnbull too, interestingly. But yeah,
That's good to hear. Johnny,
How can it be anybody different? It's been Ralston this entire season. Absolute two different players since last season. Yeah, just such a dramatic turnaround. And maybe it is because he's a dad now. But I also think the point that you made, Jared, about Juranovic coming in and giving him competition. He probably thought this was him stepping up, and that was probably a big part of it. Is he actually felt like he had a good chance of getting into the team, so he obviously mentally stepped up to the challenge and stuff. Yeah, but look, I who knows? It can only be down to coaching and the way that Ange has asked him to play. I think he's just a lot of the things that he's been doing. We've seen him do well in previous seasons. Like he's always had a half decent cross on him, and he's not been that bad at like doing an overlap run and stuff. But getting back, and he's been slow. He's clearly got his fitness up and stuff, and just like I say, a night and day player to the point now where, as we've said, if he comes in, nobody's worried. We're actually probably excited about it. We're like, if Juranovic is injured, we're like, yeah, okay, fair enough. Ralston just slips straight into there, and that's absolutely fine. Or if Juranovic is absolutely munted, Anthony comes on, and that's us. We've got like another attacking player. So, yeah, Anthony Ralston all the way.
well, with that question, it's an interesting one. It's how you interpret it more than anything, because I agree with Ralston 100%, and he's my most improved, however, overall in terms of performance. But then if you compare it to last season to this season, and you look at guys like Rogic and Bitton and Taylor, yes, Rogic and Bitton are moving on, and I've said that I want someone like Juranovic to come in and challenge Taylor for that spot. But look at those guys' performances last season to this season, and it's night and day for all of them. So whether that's coaching or it's belief, like if Rogic and Bitton had have moved on this time last year, no one would have batted an eyelid. They would have been like, okay, see ya. But you see the outpouring of emotion when they're both leaving on last weekend or whatever it was. It's like, yeah, it's just a different story. But yeah, I'd go Ralston, closely followed by Rogic and Bitton, and then Taylor's in fourth spot for most improved for me. But yeah, Ralston it is. Question 4. Who was your unsung hero of the season and why? Go on, Sean.
Yep, my unsung hero of the season was Michael Nicholson. He has been pretty good as far as I can tell. It's hard to tell. Things are a bit opaque in the background, but we've had quite a departure from the old waiting to the last minute. I know we did have some players come in late, but when you look at January and those players were announced before the transfer window had even opened, that's never happened before. Getting it done early, and the fact that there's literally not been a word of him out of his mouth to the media. So it's quite a change from Peter Lawwell. Whatever he's done this season, I don't want to give him future credit, but so far, whatever he's done has worked very well. And in the fact that he just came in as well at a time when, what's his name? Dominic Mackay, whatever happened. Who knows? Dominic Mackay, whitewashed from history. Will he get credit? I don't know, or will. But Michael Nicholson, well done.
Liam.
Well, since I'm probably not allowed to say Aaron Ramsey, I'm going to have to think about this one.
That is your answer. Fine. On over to you, John.
No, I would actually say John Kennedy and Gavin Strachan, because they took absolute pelters last season from all of us, and rightly so, because the team were awful. But Ange can't do everything by himself. He does need to have guys behind him supporting him, and clearly whatever changes needed to be made, they were part of making that change, and the fact that they're still here suggests that they fully bought into that change, and they deserve credit for that. So respect to them.
Johnny.
Yeah, do you know what? I never really thought about unsung heroes outside of the first team, but there's some very good people we've brought up. But
I've got two more options, so if you want to steal one of mine, that's fine.
No. I've got one, and it definitely is an unsung hero. And I've put Greg Taylor down, and very much as you were saying there, Jared, before about how he's massively improved from last season, which is definitely true. But I also think he's one of those players that we've also had in other squads of other seasons. I'm thinking of like the Johnny Hayes, but probably a slightly better standard, where he just gets the job done. Like he's never going to give you an absolutely invigorating performance, but he very rarely puts a foot wrong. There's obviously we can probably pull out a couple of memories where he's but that's kind of my point. Like you can think of a couple of occasions where he has, but the fact that he's been in the squad so consistently, and we can only think of a few times he's done something wrong, surely shows his consistency's been very, very good. Is he Champions League quality? Obviously not. We're definitely going to have to improve in that position, but he always gives everything. When he was injured, we had a massive hole in the squad. Obviously Juranovic having to go over there, and the second he came back, Juranovic snapped back into his natural position, and we saw Juranovic getting better. But we all gave that praise to Juranovic without actually realizing it was because Greg Taylor came back in and never really did much wrong that warranted him being dropped. Juranovic going back over there. So yeah, obviously we need to improve in that position, but he's a very decent player, and I would never want to see him drop from the squad. He's a very good squad player.
All right, for me, I'm going to have a serious one, and I'm going to have a muck around one for you. So the serious one will be, we signed him in September. He could have been our signing of the season, but Anton McElhone, our head of sports science, with how many injuries and everything we've had the last few years, he's come in and it's seemed to lessen the impact second half of the season. Like, got him in. We had injuries before that. He would have come in September. By the time his way of working and figuring out who's who in the zoo and what all that's like, it comes December, second half of the season, it was a lot better in terms of how many games we were playing and the performance levels, and we didn't get a lot of injuries. So I'd like to give him a shout out. My mucking around one has to go to the Japanese translator, because he got a medal. So he's got as many as Tavernier and Morales. So he gets another shout out too.
Do you think, does he work for all of them, or what's the kind of setup there?
It's funny because I saw a picture of Ange when he was training at what's it called, at Yokohama, and there's the translator standing on the pitch behind him there. So I think it's the same guy came with him.
So like, do the players just like, is he running the laps with the players? Like,
Yeah,
he just said left hand down.
Basically, if it's the same as it was when Nakamura was at Celtic, Koki Mizuno was there at the same time, and they both went through one guy. So I'd imagine he is that one guy doing all the necessary Japanese translation. And they have a different person that does the press conferences because, well, it's a female voice, so it's obviously a different person that's doing it.
All right, next question. What is your goal of the season and why? Sean?
Yeah, goal of the season. I had two options in case somebody else doubled up. But I'd actually put down, not necessarily for the technique, but I'd listed Abada's third goal against Sevco, which put the game out of sight. Was it February? The one just before half time. Yeah. So not just, mostly, I guess, for the importance of the goal, the euphoria of it, and also just for the way that Borna Barisic's soul left his body. As he collapsed to the grounds before the ball was even in the net.
He had passed on before Abada had even lapped him.
Yeah. Yeah, he knew what was coming before everyone else did.
Brilliant. Yeah. All right, Liam.
Same game. I'm going to go for the opening goal from Real Hatate. It was just it was funny how, like, the two Rangers players banged into each other. The ball fell to him and he just smacked it straight into the bottom corner. No questions. And then they spent the next 5 minutes arguing over how it was a foul because they banged into each other. I just thought that was hysterical. But yeah, that just set the tone for that entire game because it came very early on. Shell shocked the Huns. They were not expecting us to come at them like that, and they never recovered, and we just battered them for the rest of the game. So again, maybe not the best goal of the season in terms of technique, but in terms of impact, in terms of significance, it was one of our January signings, showing that he's a real deal. It was Rangers getting a rocket up them that has been long overdue, and it was Ange Ball finally clicking into full gear, I think. So, for a multitude of reasons, that is my goal of the season.
Johnny.
Oh, we've all gone different again. Well, I went through many videos to see what my favorite goal was as far as like emotional reaction. And although some have been mentioned, the one that I thought was just on pure technical amazement, I went with Kyogo's goal against Ferencvaros in Europa League. And although it was Kyogo's goal, I really think what made that goal amazing was Jota's contribution, because he was so deep into Celtic's half. He was almost in the left back position where he won the ball back, to then turn and ping that ball with such precision through the middle of those two defenders for Kyogo just to control it perfectly, and then with the second touch score a goal. Immense, absolutely immense. And that was really, yeah, a big, emotional goal, if you like. It was, made me very happy. So yeah, that was definitely my goal of the season this year.
All right. So mine, Ralston, 120 minutes of stoppage time at Ross County. What a goal. That was very important in terms of the league. And then the blow up afterwards from all their mob. It was just hilarious.
Yeah.
Sean, you said you had an extra one.
Yeah, it was actually not been said yet. It was the Kyogo League Cup final goal, the one to win it, and not again because is that one of the two goals. Two? There's only been two, maybe 3. That where everyone says, "Oh, so Larson-esque." I love that Larson is an adjective used around here. Maybe not. But yeah, the Larson-esque goal. But what made it even more impressive was, the occasion and the fact that he was playing with like a frayed piece of string holding the two halves of his legs together in place of his hammy. Because, like he lasted 20 minutes of the following game and wasn't available for the games before it. So God knows how he managed to score those 2 goals on nothing there, on whatever grade of tear he had. And just the technique, not even looking, just lobbed the keeper.
I suppose there's probably about another 2 or 3 we could throw in as well if we really wanted to, but we'll just leave that one there. I'm sure everyone watching, listening in, just if you're on our YouTube channel, just let us know in the comments what your goals of the season are, all your answers to all these questions. I want to hear a bit from you guys as well, get the conversation going. Next question. What was your best moment of the season and why? Over to you, Sean.
My best moment of the season, I had 2. So I'm going to put one that was purely selfish and then one that I guess they're both kind of selfish. I'm just going to give you the 2 anyway. My best was probably Jackie Makis last minute winner versus Dundee, because it won me $1,100 on a Jackie Makis hat trick and Celtic win. But other than that, my best moment was Callum McGregor chasing down Borna Barisic and calling him a shite bag. That was hilarious.
That's a great moment.
And to link back to the previous thing, you could actually credit him with an assist, because it was after that Barisic actually did shite it out of Mark and Abada. So giving Callum McGregor a tacit assist for that goal.
Liam?
Yeah, I'm gonna. Oh, it's difficult to pick out just one, but
a couple. Do what Sean did. Throw 1 or 2 in.
Right. Okay then. So I'm just gonna say overall that 3-0 game in February, because I'll be honest, I was shiting myself before that game. I really wasn't sure. I believed we could beat them, but I thought they had just got so lucky in the last couple of times we played them. Even though we'd been the better team, we hadn't really laid a glove on them, and I thought, oh God, here we go. But We went out and we totally played them off the park. So that entire 90 minutes is what particularly the first half was the moment for me. But if we're going to distill it down to a single moment, seeing Maeda score his first goal for Celtic, it's just been the validation of a 2-year ongoing campaign by myself to get that guy to Celtic, and it finally happened.
Ronnie?
Yes, well, I've I've written down here best moments aside from winning the league, and then watching all the Hunters in Seville, which brought me so much fucking joy. It's unbelievable. I was literally I don't do it often, but especially during Rodgers eras, I would stick on a Rangers podcast after we just absolutely pumped them or something like that. And I don't know why that gives me so much joy, but it really fucking does. But I've written down my favorite moment was when Juranovic chipped the Leverkusen goalie with a penalty.
The Panenka.
Yeah, the Panenka, and hit the inside of the crossbar. The absolute brass balls on that man to do that in what was, I'm pretty sure that game was quite. If we had won that game or drawn it, there was a good chance we were going through to the next stages of the Europa League. If I remember correctly, that was how it was, and we had played out of our skin as well, because I think 3-2 and stuff, and it was very back and forth for a lot of it. But to do that, to make it even, I think before the half time. Jesus Christ. And Juranovic apparently coming out afterwards and saying that he was going to do it at least once during the season. And that's the game that he picked to do it. Not Dundee away or Europa League. Yeah, I think that was definitely one of my favourite moments. So that's the one I chose.
For me, I've got a couple of moments. First one is the fact that we won the league, and I can turn around everyone from right back in the start and say we told you so with Ange. That's a great moment because it proves that the belief we had in him wasn't misplaced. That's on a selfish reason. Another thing though that really stood out to me, other than all the usual stuff you guys have said, is was it the Tuesday or Wednesday during the day that we had the Europa League group game, and there was 55,000 people at Celtic Park?
Yeah.
Seeing that for a game where that many people have taken the day off work, finished work early, whatever, to get down there, just shows that we've got the best fan base in the world, and I'm such a proud Celtic fan seeing that. So for me, that was a very was a good moment. But the best moment overall was seeing Ange after we won the league, giving that jumper a tug and all this sort of stuff in that talk on the field. Like, yeah, I just love seeing that.
Yeah, was he said you've embraced the jumper, something like that?
Yeah.
I'm not
on Facebook and Twitter going, I've got the Ange look today, and it's just a guy with a work shirt and a jumper on. I'm like, that's stock standard over here.
Yeah. I'm not sure if it's true or not, because the source was just some Microsoft graph on Twitter, but some people have been sharing around that this is the first time a team has had 1 million supporters attend in a season in Scotland for Celtic, as in if you add up all the attendances.
Not a bad effort.
That's amazing. That's very good.
Give yourself a pat on the back, every single Celtic fan. You deserve it. Like, the support is immense, and it's great to see the fans, the manager, and the players all linking together nicely. So if only we could get the board on board with that, happy days. But I'm not going to hold my breath because I'll probably pass out. All right, next question. I've done that one. What was your favourite Ange press conference moment of the season, and why?
Yeah, I've got a few for this as well. It was hard to
start with, so we get through them all.
Yeah, well, I'll just go with one, and then you guys will probably pick up the other ones. Obviously, there's been a lot with Kenny McIntyre that are great. But my favourite was when somebody, I don't know who it was, said to him, what will exiting the Champions League mean for Celtic's finances? And his response was, I'm not an accountant, mate, I'm a football manager.
Yeah. That's literal Ange, isn't it?
Yeah.
Liam.
More of an Ange-ism than a particular quote, but a recurring trope throughout the whole season. I just love the way it's a uniquely Australian thing, the way he just condescendingly refers to people as mate when you know that he means the exact opposite.
Dickhead.
Yeah.
It's what us Aussies do, right? It's pretty funny. It's like you call your mate a cunt and you call cunts mate.
Yeah.
That's how we
Yeah.
are. It's backwards. It's great.
The other one you do is you say something's average when you actually mean it's totally shit. But,
Yeah.
that's pretty average.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if I'm going to pick out one quote, then my favourite one would probably be one of his early ones when someone asked him if he knew anything about Dundee, and he said I'm not from Mars, mate. I've just come over from Japan. It's, I do watch Scottish football. So
On the same
yeah,
planet, mate. Yeah.
yeah.
Johnny.
Yeah, I had a few written down, and we've mentioned a couple of them. So I think there's just so many good ones because he just doesn't take any shit at all. So the one I'll choose is when again Europa League, Leverkusen, what do you call it? Like the press conference before the match, the pre-match press conference, and a Scottish journo bloody asked him about ticket allocation for the League Cup not being half and half, and he just put his hands in his face and just laughed, and he just absolutely laughed. And
right.
yeah, and then do you know what?
Do you want another go at that one, mate, or something? Like
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah.
At least he gave him the decency to give him another shot and say, "Yeah, you're not really gonna ask me about ticket allocation before a Leverkusen, mate, are you? Do you want another go?" So yes, he does call people champion and mate and all those passive aggressive stuff, but at least he's decent enough to give. I don't know. Maybe he was a young journalist or something, but I thought that was a very Ange-esque moment.
My favourite one is after the first 6 games where we've dropped points. Oh, you guys call the league early here, mate.
Oh yeah.
That was my favourite. Look how it ended up. So perfect. Let's just kick around. You guys have got extras. Let's just do a few more laps. Keep going.
Yeah, the Kenny McIntyre one where we beat St Mirren with 2 kind of relatively late goals. And he said to him afterwards, "Oh, that was a bit of a hard watch, wasn't it? Would you say that's fair?" And he went, "Oh, maybe it's because you're disappointed with the outcome."
I liked when he got his Manager of the Year award, and they said to him, "You got Manager of the Year. You've won the league. You've won the League Cup." He said, "Oh, I'm just disappointed. There was that sacked by Christmas trophy you were all going to give me, and I never got it."
Right, I forgot about that one. Yeah.
And sacked by Halloween. Do you know, maybe not a punchy moment, but I don't know if you guys saw one of Ange's interviews on Celtic TV about why he wore the jumper.
Yeah, it was because I did see that.
Yeah, because he had just arrived, had been told it was going to be very cold, and apparently his wife likes to dress him, as I would imagine, many husbands have wives like that, or partners, and yeah, so he just decided to stick that jumper on, and he's getting grief from his missus because he's stuck on shitty jumper on, and then he's never taken it off since, and that's become his identity. So I think that's a nice little I don't know story that he tells.
Mm-hmm.
Keep going, boys.
The other Kenny McIntyre one where when he asked him about if he was hoping that I can't remember what it was, hoping that Sevco win or something so that he can get the title in front of our own fans or hoping they drop points so we can win it in front of our own fans. I can't remember what it was. And he went, "Oh, geez, only you could put a downer on winning the title, mate."
It's just, do you know what's very refreshing about having an Australian as a manager? Because Lennon was always been, it was always tipped to somebody who was very, I don't know, confrontational with the media and stuff, but also maybe snarling a little bit. Maybe that's the wrong adjective to use. But what's nice about Ange, maybe it's maybe it's just because he's Australian, but the way that he tells media off is almost in this sort of lovable, happy-go-lucky way. You kind of feel like you're not really that done by, but you've just been told off by the teacher who's your favorite teacher, sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? Like he's yeah, it's very Australian personality.
It's one of those ones where like someone, he'll say something and someone will go, "Oh, right enough, yeah." And then like 5 minutes later, like, bastard. They couldn't at the time because he was so disarmingly polite.
It's the old Aussie school teacher thing, go sit in the naughty corner sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it's just like you get told and you're like, huh? Oh, great.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Next question. What was the worst pundit opinion of the season and why?
Yeah, I had a few here, so you might want to circle back to me. But number one for me was Hugh Keevans when he said, at least we know what Ange stands for. Absolutely not good enough.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Chris Boyd. Rangers will win the league by at least 15 points prediction that he made at the start of the season.
Yeah.
Johnny.
Oh God, yeah. I've also gone with Boyd, which I absolutely hate, but I couldn't find a particularly fitting one that would for something that maybe Nichols has said or something like that. But I went with this is actually quite a disgusting comment, which is when Boyd said that I'm pretty sure it was after we pumped him 3-0 with that, or maybe it was when we beat them 2-1 at the Debt Dome, but that because McGregor had just broken his cheekbone, that the Rangers players should have, tackled a bit harder or shoulder barged him a bit more and stuff like that, which just makes him an absolute fucking cockwomble. It makes him like the biggest dickhead in punditry. So yeah, like that. I guess that's the worst in the sense of like viciousness, because that was a horrible comment to make.
Yeah.
On a side note, cockwomble is a good word that we need to use more often. Definitely.
I'm laughing, try not to cough. It's great. Great one. Love it. Good term, that. Yeah, for me, real simple. It's the Alan Brazil thing from preseason.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't even need to quote it. Everyone knows the one. But let's kick around some more, Sean.
Yeah, I forgot about that Alan Brazil one. I had Alex Ray, who said that Hatate was not a good signing. It'd be useless because he's a utility player. And then, like, breathlessly, 5 minutes later, said that Bobby Sands signing for Rangers would be good because he's a good utility player. Not Bob. What's his? You know what I'm talking about. James. James Sands, sorry. Yeah, that was a good one.
Say Bobby Sands signing for Rangers. Now that would be a headline.
That'd be explosive.
Oh dear. No, but the other one that I can't even remember who it was that said it, but it was somebody on Radio Clyde. It might have been Keevans, it might have been Gordon Dale, it might have been Alec Ray. But before the 3-0 game, they actually went the other way and they predicted that Rangers would win 3-0. And the phone in the next day was just, it was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. I don't know if someone can dig up the audio with this, please do. I can't remember if it was Radio Clyde or if it was TalkSport or one of the stations, but some Hun phoned up and he was just about in tears. He's like, What's happening, guys? What do you mean, cause it? We're just not there, are we?
I remember that one. That was brilliant.
Oh, it was beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
Guy got that rolled up. He sounded like he'd just been sucking some helium before getting on the phone.
Aye, that's right.
It's got higher pitch as he went.
Yeah, absolutely classic.
Yeah.
I had another one for Ewan Murray, who not only he didn't just say it, he put it in print that I can't remember what date it was, September, October, that Celtic would need a miracle to win the league. Then in April, when we were just about to win it, he said there was nothing miraculous about Celtic's league win. So completely contradicted himself. And it was hilarious that a Celtic fan picked him up on it straight away on Twitter and just put a picture of his previous headline just saying, "Is this you, mate?" like with a link to say need a miracle.
Any more, John and Liam?
I was just going to say, Ewan Murray is like that guy that we probably all knew in college or high school, the one who like secretly fancies the bird that you got off with, and so he just spends the whole time being like dismissive and passively aggressive towards her for no apparent reason. He has that relationship with Celtic. I don't know why. For a supposed Hearts fan, he takes an unhealthy interest in hating Celtic, and I really don't get it. I don't get it at all.
I think there's many pundits that are like that too. That's their career, isn't it? Just hating on Celtic. Many ex-Celtic players.
Yeah.
I think there was another. I think there was another one as well that wasn't. It doesn't quite fit in with the theme of what we're doing, but I believe it was Packy Bonner asked Craig Levein if he ever considered selecting Greg Taylor for Scotland when he was the manager, even though Greg Taylor was 13 when Craig Levein was the Scotland manager. I think that's what it was.
There was the other one that Craig Levein came out with. I don't know if you heard this one at the time, but when Kyle Lafferty left Hearts and Levein was still the manager at the time, somebody asked him, so what was there any change in the squad when you lost Kyle Lafferty, because he was like their main striker at the time? He says, well, the general IQ of the dressing room's gone up for a start.
Sometimes, like, I quite like Craig Levein sometimes. I just don't like playing against his teams.
He's got that kind of dry humour that I can quite relate to. He's quite him and Michael Stewart playing off each other is always quite good to listen to.
Yeah, it's true.
All right, guys. Last question for part 1 of the podcast. What song sums up this season and why? This was your question you wanted, Sean, so over to you.
Oh, so many to choose from. I'd down Faith by George Michael. You gotta have faith. I had down Live It Up by Mental as Anything. Hey You with the Sad Face. The Phoenix by Fall Out Boy, because we've risen from the ashes of last season, and along the same lines, Redemption Song by Bob Marley.
Give the rest of us some chances.
Sorry. But I've settled on Down Under by Men at Work in tribute to Ange.
Liam?
Well, I was watching, I think it was the St Johnstone game where we had all of our goal scorers came from 5 different countries. And at one point we had 7 different nationalities on the park playing for us. So I thought Seven Nation Army would be quite a good song for us. So Seven Nation Army by the White Stripes. There you go.
Johnny?
I'm trying to think of a fitting one. I guess a good one would be Fireball. Is that by Pitbull song?
Pitbull,
yeah.
That was one I had 2 in my head, and you've just taken it.
And what's that Rage Against the Machine song that says we won't do what we tell you? We won't do
killing in the name of.
Killing in the name of. Yeah, there you go. That's a good fit.
Right up my alley with that song.
Yeah, that's a good old band, isn't it? But yeah, Fireball definitely fits a good vibe, doesn't it? Everyone jumps up to that.
Mm-hmm.
That was going to be my main one, and you've just taken it, and I've just got my other one. So, Sean, if you've got a couple more.
Oh, that was all the ones I had written down, I'm afraid. Yeah.
A good one for Rangers season would be Zombie by the Cranberries. That'd be a good one, wouldn't it?
Or the other Rage Against the Machine one, Wake Up.
Yeah.
Give them an Oasis song, Don't Look Back in Anger.
My ex-partner asked me to stop quoting Oasis songs all the time. I said maybe.
Well, if we moved on to that part of the podcast, I got into an argument with a wife the other day because with this fuel crisis, with running short on the old gasoline, as you might call it, and I had to put vodka in the lawnmower instead of petrol. Now the grass is half cut.
Hey! It's the best one you've had yet, Liam.
All right, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to part 1 of the Celtic Down Under season review podcast. We appreciate it. Keep your eyes out for part 2, which will be out sometime in the next week. Hail, hail.
Hail, hail.
Hail, hail.
Hail, hail.
job.